Level 1. The Survival Merchant, Sean Dyche. He lives in a world where football is about survival. Every match feels like a storm, and Dyche has made a career out of walking through it without flinching. He doesn't enter seasons dreaming of titles or style points. He enters them thinking, how do we still have oxygen in May? At Burnley, he took one of the smallest budgets in the Premier League and turned it into a 6-year survival plan. Turf Moor became football's version of a construction site. Rough, noisy, and brutally efficient. Every player had a job that involved running, tackling, or heading something that moved. The 4-4-2 formation was their shield. Possession football meant very little. What mattered was territory, shape, and discipline. His players were soldiers. Ashley Barnes, Ben Mee, James Tarkowski, names that may never appear in glossy documentaries, but they gave every inch of themselves to keep Burnley standing. In 2018, they reached the Europa League. For a club their size, that felt like scaling Everest using a ladder from the garage. He represents the purest form of managerial survivalism. He doesn't chase philosophies, he builds resistance. His football exists to protect clubs from financial collapse, fan mutiny, and the misery of relegation. There's a kind of brutal honesty in that. Level 2. The Cup Opportunist, Claudio Ranieri. Before Leicester City's 2016 season, he was known for his calm manner, pleasant smile, and a career filled with almosts. He'd managed Chelsea, Juventus, Roma, Inter, Monaco, always competitive, rarely victorious. Then came Leicester, a team that had barely survived relegation the season before. Nobody expected anything more than mid-table. What followed was pure football folklore. Ranieri didn't invent anything new, he simplified. His 4-4-2 system looked old-fashioned in an era obsessed with pressing triggers and inverted fullbacks, yet it was executed with machine-like discipline. Wes Morgan and Robert Huth held the line like old-school defenders. Kante covered the ground of 2 men. Riyad Mahrez cut inside with grace, and Jamie Vardy sprinted behind defenses like a human alarm clock. Every attack had purpose, every counter was a dagger. His real genius was emotional control. He built a team that believed in the impossible without ever acting like underdogs. He cracked jokes in press conferences, took the pressure off his players, and created an atmosphere of calm belief. Dilly ding, dilly dong, he'd say to remind them to stay awake, football's most wholesome war cry. That year, Leicester broke the league's hierarchy. They took down giants by staying organized, patient, and fearless. His legacy earned him a permanent place in football's romantic history. Yet his career after Leicester mirrored what defines a true cup opportunist. Moments of brilliance followed by instability. Spells at Fulham, Sampdoria, and Watford were short-lived, and the magic never quite repeated. Unai Emery. His record in knockout competitions is absurd. 4 Europa League titles, 3 with Sevilla and 1 with Villarreal. That's not coincidence or luck, it's the result of meticulous preparation. Emery studies opponents like an exam student, memorizing every pattern, every weakness, and every possible reaction. When the games arrive, his teams are ready to strike like chess grandmasters. At Sevilla, he mastered the art of the Europa League long before it became a meme. From 2014 to 2016, his teams conquered Europe 3 years in a row. Those sides were compact, efficient, and relentless on transitions. They pressed intelligently, played narrow when needed, and always had an outlet for the counterattack. For Emery, football was a sequence of details, not emotion, not chaos. That mentality made him nearly unbeatable in knockout formats, where every mistake is fatal and every adjustment counts double. Then came Villarreal, a modest club that Emery turned into European conquerors in 2021. They beat Arsenal in the semi-final and defeated Manchester United in a penalty shootout that seemed to last an eternity. With that victory, Emery joined an elite list of managers who had outsmarted far richer and stronger squads. Villarreal's run showed his ability to transform ordinary players into tactically perfect pieces on a board. But his career also defines the cup opportunist level perfectly. His success in knockout tournaments contrasts sharply with his struggles in league campaigns. Long seasons demand consistency and man management over months, areas where Emery's intensity can become draining. At PSG, he won trophies domestically, but failed in Europe's final frontier. At Arsenal, he reached the Europa League final but couldn't stabilize the club. His methods thrive in short bursts of focus, not marathon races. When he returned to England with Aston Villa in 2022, He once again sparked immediate transformation, organization, confidence, tactical clarity. Within months, Villa were climbing from mid-table obscurity into European qualification. That's the Emery effect. Instant structure, immediate results, and an unmistakable sense that something special might happen, if only for a while. Level 3, the system builder, Ruben Amorim. He represents the new face of football management, calm, meticulous, and deeply tactical. When he took over Sporting CP in 2020, he was only 35, barely a few months into his coaching career. The club paid Braga a record €10 million for his release, an outrageous sum for someone so young, but within a year, he turned that gamble into gold. Amorim delivered Sporting's first league title in 19 years, ending a generation of frustration and restoring belief to a club long overshadowed by Benfica and Porto. His system became his signature. His 3-4-3 formation runs around structure and fluidity. Every player has a specific zone of influence, yet the team moves as one organism. The wing-backs stretch space, the midfield presses with intensity, and the back three build attacks like playmakers. It's modern football, built on patience and precision, a system where organization breeds freedom. His leadership style mirrors his football, composed and clear. He's known for his quiet authority, never theatrical, always in control. Under him, Sporting turned from a chaotic side into one of Europe's most disciplined pressing units, capable of matching clubs with far greater budgets. At Manchester United, Amorim's challenge is cultural as much as tactical. He's rebuilding from the inside out, establishing standards, trimming chaos, and introducing the kind of team discipline the club lost after the Ferguson era. Players describe his approach as calm but firm. Training sessions revolve around repetition and spatial awareness, and his communication is direct, never emotional. In a league driven by egos, he speaks in plans. David Moyes, he is football's ultimate builder, the kind of manager who doesn't arrive with fireworks but leaves behind concrete foundations. At every club, his work feels like construction, patient, functional, and carefully structured to last. When Moyes took over Everton in 2002, the club was in financial trouble and dangerously close to irrelevance. He didn't have superstars or big budgets. He had determination and organization. Over 11 seasons, he transformed Everton into a team nobody wanted to play. Tough, compact, and always within reach of Europe. At a time when Premier League football was becoming flashier and more possession-driven, he built his success on simplicity and discipline. His sides were built around structure, strong centre-backs, full-backs who could overlap endlessly, and midfielders who ran until their lungs gave out. Players like Tim Cahill, Mikel Arteta, and Leighton Baines weren't global names when they arrived, but under Moyes, they became specialists. When he replaced Sir Alex Ferguson at Manchester United in 2013, it looked like a natural step up, but that season reminded the world that builders thrive on time, not inheritance. United needed evolution, not continuity, and Moyes was gone within a year. Yet his reputation slowly recovered as he rebuilt himself, just like his teams. At West Ham United, he returned to his comfort zone, a club that needed structure more than style. He brought defensive shape, counter-attacking precision, and a mentality that valued work ethic over flair. In 2023, he delivered West Ham their first European trophy in more than 4 decades, winning the UEFA Europa Conference League. That moment defined him perfectly. Not glamorous, not revolutionary, but solid, earned, and deeply respected. Level 4, the elite contender, Antonio Conte. This is the guy that treats football like a military operation. Every session, every match, every minute has purpose. When he steps on the touchline, you can feel the voltage. The man lives on adrenaline. From Juventus to Chelsea to Inter Milan, Conte's reputation has been built on structure, discipline, and obsession. He's one of the few managers who can take an ordinary team and make it behave like a machine. At Juventus, he inherited a team that had finished 7th 2 seasons in a row. Within months, they were champions. He introduced a 3-5-2 system so perfectly drilled that it became the blueprint for Italy's tactical rebirth. When players describe his training sessions, they use words like war and repetition. He installs systems that demand total sacrifice. When he joined Chelsea in 2016, he walked into a dressing room that was broken after Mourinho's departure. In his first season, he won the Premier League, and not through possession or luck, but by introducing a 3-4-3 formation that revolutionized English football overnight. His wingbacks, Victor Moses and Marcos Alonso became unlikely stars. Chelsea went on a record-breaking winning run, ending the season with 93 points. Every player knew their role, every movement rehearsed like choreography. At Inter Milan, he did it again. He built a team that hunted in packs, blending defensive grit with lightning-fast transitions. Under his guidance, Inter ended Juventus's 9-year dominance and won Serie A in 2021. Every club he joins ends up transformed, but the fire rarely lasts. He's the manager who guarantees short-term dominance, tactical clarity, and visible results. He builds winning storms. For pure competitive spirit, few can match him. Mikel Arteta. He represents the new generation of managerial obsession, detail-driven, intense, and emotionally connected to every phase of the game. When he took over Arsenal in 2019, the club was drifting, the style was confused, the culture fractured. Within a few seasons, Arteta reconstructed it piece by piece. He brought structure back to Arsenal's play, demanding control in every phase of possession. His use of inverted fullbacks, rotating midfielders, and high defensive lines mirrored ideas from his mentor, Pep Guardiola, yet with a sharper edge. Arsenal's pressing patterns became precise, and their tactical fouls strategic. Every player, from the goalkeeper to the wingers, had a role in controlling tempo. But what makes him stand out is his ability to rebuild mentality. He convinced young players like Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard, and Gabriel Martinelli to carry the weight of expectation with maturity. He reconnected the team with the fans, creating an energy around the Emirates that hadn't been felt since the early Wenger years. He has proven himself as a top-tier tactician capable of going toe-to-toe with the best. His Arsenal have challenged for Premier League titles, played consistent Champions League football, and developed a recognizable identity. Yet his journey still feels incomplete. The foundations are laid, the structure is there, but the ultimate silverware remains the missing piece. For now, he represents the elite manager on the brink, already great, chasing greatness. Level 5, the serial winner, Carlo Ancelotti. He is the calmest serial killer football has ever seen. He walks into chaos, adjusts his tie, and leaves with silverware. His gift is simplicity. No matter the era or the team, his philosophy revolves around balance, finding the right blend of freedom and structure so his players perform without fear. His teams play smart, not frantic. That's why he's won everywhere he's gone. AC Milan, Chelsea, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and Paris Saint-Germain. At Milan, he crafted one of the most elegant midfields in history. Andrea Pirlo dictated rhythm, Clarence Seedorf and Gennaro Gattuso gave contrast, and Kaká exploded through defenses. Under his guidance, Milan reached 3 Champions League finals and lifted the trophy twice. Years later, at Chelsea, he adapted instantly to the English game. His side scored 103 goals in 2009-10 and delivered a Premier League FA Cup double. Then came Real Madrid, where he brought La Decima, the club's long-awaited 10th Champions League title. He managed Cristiano Ronaldo, Benzema, and Bale with such calm authority that the dressing room often described him as unflappable. His secret is emotional intelligence. He understands that footballers are human beings first. He rarely shouts, never panics, and always protects his squad from unnecessary pressure. His man management is legendary. Players trust him because he trusts them back. That approach has made him one of the few managers to win the Champions League 5 times. He belongs in this level because serial winners make victory feel routine. They don't chase trends or philosophies. They collect trophies through adaptability, empathy, and experience. Jose Mourinho, from the moment he called himself the Special One, he created a persona that fed off conflict and control. At Porto, he shocked Europe, a UEFA Cup in 2003 followed by the Champions League in 2004. His teams defended as one, counter-attacked with precision, and fought as if personally insulted by conceding possession. That triumph made him the most sought-after manager in the world. At Chelsea, he redefined English football. His first Premier League title in 2004-2005 came with 95 points and just 15 goals conceded, still one of the most dominant defensive records in league history. Inter Milan brought his masterpiece, the 2010 treble. That team, built on tactical discipline and emotional fire, outwilled Guardiola's Barcelona and conquered Europe. Every player, from Cambiasso to Samuel Eto'o, carried Mourinho's voice in their head: win at all costs. Even in later years, at Real Madrid, he broke Barcelona's domestic dominance by amassing 100 points and building the fastest counter-attacking side in Europe. Roma's 2022 UEFA Conference League victory added one more milestone, the first European trophy in the club's history. Wherever Mourinho goes, success follows early and stories follow forever. What defines him as a serial winner is not longevity of harmony, but consistency of achievement. He thrives on adversity. He crafts tactical blueprints specific to moments, compact shape, transitional violence, mental manipulation. Every victory under Mourinho feels heavy, earned through suffering. Level 6, the philosopher, Johan Cruyff. Before him, the game was about instinct and individual brilliance. After him, it became a system, a structure where space, movement, and intelligence mattered as much as talent. He was the architect of how modern football is played today. As a player, he embodied the Dutch concept of total football, in which every player could occupy any position and the team functioned like a living organism. When he became a manager, he gave those principles language, form, and purpose. At Ajax, he developed youth systems that valued technique over size, intelligence over power. When he arrived at Barcelona in 1988, the club's identity changed forever. Under Cruyff, Barcelona became a laboratory of innovation. His famous Dream Team, featuring Pep Guardiola, Ronald Koeman, and Michael Laudrup, revolutionized positional play. The idea was simple but profound. Dominate possession, stretch the pitch, and manipulate space until opponents broke under pressure. His philosophy demanded courage. Every pass had intention, every movement had meaning. In 1992, he delivered Barcelona's first ever European Cup. More importantly, he built a culture that would outlast generations. The La Masia Academy that produced Messi, Xavi, and Iniesta followed his blueprint. Even decades later, every modern Barcelona coach, from Guardiola to Xavi, has been a student of his teachings. He transcended winning. He created a doctrine. The way teams press, the way defenders pass, and the way midfielders orchestrate space all trace their roots to his influence. Football's modern playbook is his legacy. His fingerprints are on every tactical evolution that came after. Level 7, the Godfather tier, Pep Guardiola. He is the perfectionist who redesigned modern football from the ground up. Every movement, every passing lane, every rotation on the pitch traces back to an idea that began in his head. His teams perform like clockwork, engineered to dominate both space and time. When he took over Barcelona in 2008, he inherited a team with stars like Messi, Xavi, and Iniesta, but what he built around them was entirely new. His positional play system, known as Juego de Posición, demanded that every player understand geometry. The field became a grid, and every movement was about creating triangles and numerical advantages. Within one season, Barcelona achieved the treble, La Liga, Copa del Rey, and the Champions League, playing football so fluid that it looked choreographed. That era changed the sport forever. Opponents could prepare, study, and adjust, yet still struggle to touch the ball. At Barcelona, he made controlling possession feel like a defensive tactic, not just an attacking one. His influence spread through coaching generations, from Arteta to Xavi to Enrique, all raised under his system. At Bayern Munich, he refined his methods in a different environment. He introduced inverted fullbacks, transforming traditional defenders into midfield creators. The Bundesliga became his tactical playground where he tested positional flexibility and spacing. Even though Bayern's Champions League ambitions fell short, the tactical evolution during that period reshaped how European clubs approached pressing and build-up play. Then came Manchester City, his masterpiece. Over multiple seasons, Guardiola turned City into an unstoppable force. The numbers alone speak volumes: multiple Premier League titles, a domestic treble, and the 2023 Champions League triumph that completed the club's historic treble. His attention to detail defines every inch of their success. Players like Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, and John Stones operate like extensions of his vision: fluid, intelligent, and precise. He literally altered football's DNA, the way goalkeepers act as playmakers, the way teams build from the back, and the way midfielders interpret roles all stem from his philosophy. Every generation after him will borrow from his blueprint, knowingly or not. Arsène Wenger. He walked into English football and changed it forever. Before him, the Premier League was a battlefield, physical, frantic, and fueled by pints. When he arrived at Arsenal in 1996, few even knew his name. The tabloids called him Arsène Who. By the time he left 2 decades later, he had turned Arsenal into a global identity, redefined how English teams trained, ate, and thought about the game. Wenger believed football was an art form. His Arsenal sides moved the ball like painters' brushstrokes, crisp, fluid, and beautifully deliberate. The late 90s and early 2000s became his canvas. He introduced nutrition programs, cutting-edge fitness methods, and a style built on intelligence over brute strength. Under him, Arsenal won 3 Premier League titles and 7 FA Cups, but his crowning achievement remains the 2003-04 invincible season, 38 games unbeaten, an English record that still stands untouched. Beyond tactics, his legacy runs through culture. He discovered and developed talents like Thierry Henry, Patrick Vieira, Cesc Fabregas, and Robin van Persie. His eye for technical brilliance reshaped Arsenal's DNA and influenced how academies scouted players across Europe. His influence reached beyond results. He changed how football is lived. Managers like Klopp and Arteta all trace parts of their philosophy to him. Sir Alex Ferguson. This is the manager who ruled football through a different kind of genius, one built on human psychology, leadership, and relentless standards. He managed Manchester United for 26 years, turning the club into a global empire. His reign wasn't based on one philosophy or formation, it was based on evolution. You see, when he took over in 1986, United were unstable and inconsistent. He rebuilt them from the ground up, focusing first on youth and discipline. The class of '92, Beckham, Scholes, Giggs, Neville became the backbone of a team that defined an era. Under Ferguson, United became a factory of comebacks and dominance. 13 Premier League titles, 2 Champions Leagues, 5 FA Cups, and countless unforgettable moments, all driven by one unshakable principle: hunger never dies. His power came from his ability to reinvent. His early United teams were direct and physical. His later ones became sleek and tactical. He adapted to new generations, new rivalries, and new styles. Managers came and went, Wenger, Mourinho, Guardiola, yet Ferguson always found a way to stay ahead. His handling of egos was legendary. From Eric Cantona to Cristiano Ronaldo, no player ever felt bigger than the badge. One of his most famous strengths was timing. He knew when to refresh squads, when to rebuild, and when to let players go. That foresight is what kept United on top for 2 decades. Even in his final season, he guided them to the league title, then stepped away with his legacy untouchable. He represents mastery and leadership. His impact on Manchester United and English football as a whole remains unmatched. And that's it. If you enjoyed this video, you'll surely love this one.